Hello, everyone. This is Michael Govier from the Cinema 9 podcast, and you are listening to Pop Goes Your World.
If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes. And while you're there, please leave us a rating and review.
And now it's time for our feature presentation.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 182, Johnny Dangerously Movie Review. Chris McBrien along with Caveman Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations. Derek, how are you?
Busy. Been a busy week for me. Lots going on with my job. Got a few more weeks till I start my summer vacation, so it's just head down, moving forward, get that stuff done, and the finish line is in sight. So this is a nice little break. We'll do this show for the next hour or so, and then it's nose to the grind, back to work.
So you've been very busy, but have you been able to squeeze in any pop culture? That's the question.
Absolutely. No matter how much work you have to do, no matter how hard you work, no matter how many hours you put in, you've got to always take a little bit of time for yourself to relax, to have some fun, to have some downtime, to decompress, call it what you will. And for me, it involves riding my bicycle for an hour a day and watching at least an hour or 90 minutes of TV at least once a day. And I find if I get those two things in, all the other stuff just sort of falls away for a short while. So I managed to watch a bunch of stuff this week, but I'm only going to talk about the two sort of highlights. So the first one is a brand new movie that dropped on Netflix this weekend. It's called Army of the Dead. It's written and directed by Zack Snyder, whose name you probably know from the recent Justice League movie. He did the recent Superman movies. Okay. He did 300. He's a pretty big deal. Mm-hmm. He's done.
I'll take your word for it. Yep.
Love him or hate him, he's a big name. This movie stars Dave Bautista, who you might remember was in the Guardians of the Galaxy film franchise. He played Drax the Destroyer, the guy with the gray skin and all the tattoos. Dave Bautista's also appeared in one of the recent James Bond films. He's becoming a pretty decent actor in his own right. And this movie, Army of the Dead, is basically the zombie outbreak has happened in Las Vegas. The government has put a makeshift wall around Las Vegas and just let the zombies go nuts with each other. And our movie picks up a few days before the government is set to drop a nuclear bomb on what we used to know was Las Vegas in a hope of destroying all the zombies before they can possibly escape. But a rich guy hires a team of ragtag mercenaries to go into Vegas and recover some loot. Basically, it becomes a heist movie. Go in, steal the stuff, get out of Vegas, don't get killed by the zombies, and do all this before the government drops a nuke on Las Vegas. So that's the premise. It's set up in the first 5 minutes of the movie. And then for the next 2.5 hours, you have these adventurers shooting up zombies in Vegas. And it is as fun as it sounds, as much as it is cheesy, and it's high quality production values, fantastic special effects, some totally over the top craziness. But if you like zombie movies, you got to check this out. I think it's a little bit too long. I think it runs 2 hours and 28 minutes. I think that's a little on the long side. You probably could have cut at least 20 minutes out of it, and the movie would probably feel a little tighter. But no, it was a fun ride. It's on Netflix, so you can watch it. I don't want to say for free because obviously we pay for Netflix. But if you've got Netflix, this won't cost you anything over and above what you're already paying for Netflix. Called Army of the Dead. It was fun. Check it out. I mean, it's a little long, but it was decent.
Okay, so that's one thing. What was the second thing you did?
The second thing I had was a documentary.
A documentary?
For 40 days and 40 nights, he watches documentaries. He likes to learn about the world. It's Derek's Documentaries. Derek's Documentaries.
Oh, please tell us about this documentary.
All right. So the setup for this is one of the best documentaries I've seen all year. Arguably one of the best films, but definitely one of the best documentaries. Okay. It is from HBO Sports. and it is called The Weight of Gold. It is a 1-hour documentary that premiered on HBO and HBO Max. We just got it in Canada this week. I think it might have been released in the States earlier, so some people may be like, yeah, I saw that last year. It runs 1 hour, and the premise is that they interview a whole bunch of U.S. Olympic athletes, some of whom were successful and medaled, some who were less successful and only were able to compete. It focuses a lot on Michael Phelps, obviously, as the most decorated Olympic athlete ever. And the focus of the documentary is on the mental health and the mental well-being of Olympic athletes, and essentially the absence of support for these athletes. Like in one point, one of the athletes says, like, if I was in training for the Olympics and I blew up my knee, I would have the best surgeon, the best specialist, the best physio, the best rehab. Like these doctors and support system for physical injuries, top notch, the absolute best in the world. But if you have any sort of mental issues, you say, I'm feeling depressed, or I'm feeling anxious, or I think I need to talk to someone, I'm having some whatever. No support at all, nothing. And that's what this documentary really focuses on is, it takes a certain kind of person to be an Olympic athlete and want to compete for a gold medal. And you basically give up your entire life to be singularly focused on being the absolute best. And again, Michael Phelps, fantastic example. He absolutely was, without a doubt, the best at what he did. But what happens when the Olympics are over? What happens when you have achieved what you wanted to do, or you took your shot and you missed, maybe you didn't win? What happens next? And they interview about a dozen Olympic athletes, and it is shocking to hear the lack of support that these athletes get in this regard. And it's a phenomenal documentary. I can't recommend it strongly enough. It's currently on HBO or Crave if you got it in Canada. It is literally 1 hour. So you can sit down and watch it all in one shot. I strongly recommend it. It was fantastic. It's called The Weight of Gold, and the poster has Michael Phelps' picture on it. So
very cool. Good name for it.
Those are my two.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so my oldest son, and I've got kids. That's why I don't have as much time to do pop culture, I guess. But my oldest son is 12, and it's speech time at school, Derek.
Nice.
So the students have to come up with a speech where they have to convince the class of their point of view on a certain topic. And so I asked my son, I was like, well, what's it going to do your speech on? And he said, I wanted to go with the reasons why 2020 sucked. And I was like, hey, I got a song you can play for your class. As you know, Derek. And it goes a little something like this.
It started in March and then by June I didn't know what to do, so I was drunk by noon. For vacation, we didn't know what we'd be doing, but we knew for sure we weren't going to Wuhan. On TV, things looked really bleak, but at least we all got to go up Schitt's Creek. 2020, man, it sucked plenty. 2020 cost a pretty penny. There ain't no movies, I had to get my fix. So I watched Cobra Kai on the Netflix. I spent all my time on eBay getting outbid, but at least I didn't get COVID. Wearing pants wasn't really a thing when you're sitting around watching Tiger King. 2020 really was a toilet bowl, but at least they voted out that asshole. 2020, man, it sucked plenty. 2020 cost a pretty penny. 2020, man, it's up plenty. 2020 cost a pretty.
So, Derek, not only does that song talk about why 2020 sucked, but it's got my signature reggae groove, apparently.
Yeah, well, I mean, reggae groove should be in quotes because, you know.
So, when are you going to write a song for us, Derek?
Oh, I'm working on one. Believe me, I had one. I was close to having one ready for tonight, but unfortunately, real life got in the way.
Well, singing isn't the only thing I do around here. I also do this.
Here's your dad joke of the week.
All right. Just a warning. This one's not safe for work. Okay. Just so you know, Derek.
You're already laughing, so I don't know. Okay.
It's just because it's not safe for work. So it's not really a dad joke because it's like dirty. Okay. Derek, why isn't there a pregnant Barbie doll?
I have no idea. I'm guessing this is something to do with Ken, but let's hear it.
Because Ken in a different. There is no way in hell that makes it past the censors.
No.
I wanted to go back and watch The Love Boat.
I'm going to give you a lot of reasons to think I'm nerdy tonight.
I've never actually watched Alf.
Jerry Seinfeld's mother.
We were actually just talking about Alf in my house last week.
And I knew you'd be on my side about all this.
Chris, he normally has the textbook answer.
The Love Boat.
He obviously has not read the science fiction textbook.
Very cool.
But is it, Chris? But is it cool?
Oh, settle down, young man.
I do love this movie.
And yes, Yancey, it is cool, by the way. All right, my friend, it was my turn to nominate a film this week, and I was in the mood for an 80s comedy, so I went with the 1984 Michael Keaton movie, Johnny Dangerously. Derek, you had never seen this movie before, so before we do a deep dive on the movie, which we will do, what was your initial reaction to seeing Johnny Dangerously for the first time in 2020?
So I had a hard time finding this because it wasn't available on any of our normal streaming services, which I think you and I had sort of talked about a little bit off camera last time.
Yeah. It was hard to find, wasn't it?
Well,
you're right. It wasn't on streaming. I have the 80s classic channel, and it wasn't on there. I don't have it on DVD. Like, it was really tough. Where did you end up finding it?
I found it on YouTube. The entire movie was just on YouTube for free.
Me too, but it was like letterbox, like over into the right-hand corner.
Yeah, and it was sped up. Like the movie's supposed to run, I think, 1 hour and 31, and it was like 1 hour and 18. So I was worried at first that stuff was cut out, but then I could tell that it was actually whoever had posted it, in order to try and avoid being, copyright and stuff, because they probably shouldn't have posted it, they sped it up.
The only time you could notice that it was just sped up slightly was in the opening song.
That's where I was going
noticed.
Yeah.
But,
so
anyway,
I fired it up.
It too. Yep.
And I was like, oh, okay. Again, I didn't know anything about it. I knew Michael Keaton was in it. That's basically the only thing I really knew about it.
Yep.
And so I'm like, okay, I fired it up and the music starts. I'm like, wait a minute, I know this song. And it's a song by Weird Al Yankovic. And I'm like,
it is.
Oh, I love this song. I haven't heard this in a long time. So I'm singing along. And that's when I realized, I'm like, this song sounds a little fast. And that's when I realized the whole thing about it being sped up. So I'm like, wow, this is a good start. Okay, I'm going to love this, or I'm going to at least be open to this experience. And let me tell you, that was the highlight for me. It was all downhill from there. And
man.
It went downhill fast, and this movie was terrible.
Wow, why do you know from funny?
I didn't laugh at all.
What?
It was
you are
terrible. There was I kept trying to think to myself, who is the audience for this movie? Because I usually have a pretty reasonable sense of humor. I laugh at, the dick and fart jokes. I laugh at people getting slapped in the face with a pie. I can laugh at highbrow humor. Like, I get humor. And this, to me, just didn't check any of the funny boxes. I was trying to figure out, I'm like, is it supposed to not be funny? Is it like one of those, it's so bad you laugh at it? I just couldn't figure it out. But no, I dislike this movie tremendously. I would rather have gone back and rewatched Ishtar, which I disliked a lot.
Hated that movie.
And this movie, this is the worst thing you've had me watch ever. For
this my God,
this was awful.
You are so wrong. But I tell you, I think this movie tried to be somewhat kind of like an airplane of gangster flicks. Like even the way it opens up with the date 1935, and then the truck runs it over. But I think the problem with it is, I don't think gangster flicks are all that ripe for satire. But anyway, that being said, I thought this movie was really funny. Now, you got to keep in mind, I originally saw this movie in the theater as a 14-year-old. So you can probably see where the appeal was for me back then. But 37 years.
I don't understand how this is appealing to anyone.
There
aren't even boobs in this. I thought, well, maybe we're going to see some boobs. It's the 80s. They'll throw some in just, because the movie's so bad. And I was like, no, I didn't even get to see any nudity. And I was like, there's no redeeming qualities for this movie.
None. And I'm going to get to a few of them, today in the podcast. But I thought there was a couple of really funny parts. But anyway, as the years have gone on, looking back on it, it's a mindless comedy. It's a super silly movie, obviously, but I still laughed quite a bit. And I think in a world now where, comedies are a dying breed and everything is CGI comic book movies, I think we could use some more silly comedies in this world. And I was really glad to just get a chance to go back and watch it again. I think if you're looking for a funny movie to watch, do not listen to what Derek says. You could do a lot worse than this. I mean, come on, Derek, come on. How is this not funnier than that crappy Hot Tub Time Machine garbage that you had me watch?
Oh no, this is way this Hot Tub Time Machine was way better than this. I laughed at Hot Tub. I enjoy Hot Tub Time Machine. This movie was just there was I couldn't find one single redeeming quality for this movie. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like half the people that were in it. I thought that, it was just bad all around. Like, there was so much to dislike about this movie.
It's so wrong. We'll get into some of this and I'll try and convince you otherwise. So Amy Heckerling was the director. She also directed Fast Times at Ridgemont High and European Vacation and Clueless. I think this is one of those movies that if you grew up in the 80s watching this on the movie channel or on VHS, it has a special place in your heart. That's certainly the case for me. But I'll tell you, I think when it came out, the movie-going public kind of felt like you did, Derek. Like, it was not successful. I mean, in 1984, Ghostbusters was the #1 movie, by far. And Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was up there, and Gremlins, Karate Kid, Police Academy, Footloose, that sort of thing. Johnny Dangerously finished all the way down at number 97. It only made $7.3 million. Now, keep in mind, it didn't open in theaters until December 21st that year. It was sort of like a Christmas movie, so it actually finished with $17 million, but that would have probably put it around 50th for the year. So, again, safe to say, movie didn't exactly resonate with audiences when it came out, but I think when you look at the box office for that year, I think audiences in 84 missed out on a lot of pretty good movies. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, remember that one? Finished 100.
Never seen it. I've heard of it. I want to see it. I've never seen it.
Oh, it finished like 107th. The Lonely Guy with Steve Martin was so good. 115th. This is Spinal Tap, 129th. Electric Dreams finished 142nd. You ever seen that one? Virginia Madsen?
I've never even heard of it.
Oh God, it's got the song Electric Dreams. If you look up the song,
I don't think I know that
Dreams,
either.
Oh, and you would know it. You'd recognize the song. And Virginia Madsen is in it, who I will forever have a lifelong crush on. And even Repo Man was like 163rd at the box office. I mean, audiences didn't really know. But one of the things you mentioned that you didn't like was the cast.
Sorry, that list were those supposed to be good movies? Because I don't think I liked any of the ones you just. Spinal Tap was the only one that had any sort of redeeming quality.
They were all good. So I want to talk about the cast in this movie because you mentioned you didn't like it. I disagree. One of the things I will say about this movie is that there's quite a number of TV actors that are in. And back in 1984, and we've talked about this before, back then there was a clear distinction between being a TV actor and being a movie actor. If you worked in TV, you aspired to work in movies, but if you worked in movies, you never would slum it. And do TV. TV was considered to be like a lesser art form. And that was just the way things worked. It didn't really change until Friends came along in the 90s and movie stars started doing guest spots and stuff like that. But so the cast, Michael Keaton, obviously, was a star. And he got his start on TV. He started with Mary Tyler Moore's variety show back in the late 70s. And then he did a show called Working Stiffs. It was a sitcom with Jim Belushi. It was canceled after like 9 episodes back in 79. And then his big break came when Ron Howard, another former TV actor, cast him and fellow TV actor Henry Winkler, my idol, in the comedy Night Shift in 1982. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah, a few times. Actually, I think I might even have it on my PVR right now.
You like it?
It's been a while since I've seen it. That's why I recorded it.
Yeah.
So I remember enjoying it when I was younger, but I haven't seen it in 20 years. So
it was quite good, and it was a real breakout for Michael Keaton when he played Billy Buzjowski, and then he went on to do Mr. Mom, and then this movie and Gung Ho again with Ron Howard. But that movie just bombed.
I never saw that one.
Pretty much stalled Keaton's career, really, until like Beetlejuice came out and then Batman. Personally, I like Michael Keaton. I think he's got a good sense of comedy. He's got energy. He's got a sense of timing. He's charismatic. But what I'd like to know from you, Derek, is what do you think of Michael Keaton? And I'm especially curious because when he played Batman in 1989, when it was announced that he was going to be Batman, it was very controversial, the casting. And you're a big Batman fan, so I just want to know in general, what's your take on Michael Keaton? Obviously this movie notwithstanding, apparently, but what do you think of the guy?
I like Michael Keaton. I've always liked Michael Keaton. I find that he's sometimes, I don't want to say he's miscast sometimes. I think that in some cases he sort of brings the wrong energy to the part, but I think in some cases you forget how good he is. Like I think in Beetlejuice, he is fantastic. I think that's definitely one of his greater performances. And I think in Batman, like to your point, people were very skeptical. It's like, I don't know, this is Beetlejuice. And, being a Batman fan, being a comic book fan, I obviously saw the original 1989 Tim Burton Batman in the theater. I ended up seeing it a bunch of times, and I thought he was great in the role. And aside from being a little short, because Batman's supposed to be, a little more buff, a little tougher, a little taller, but I think it worked. I think it worked just fine. And I think it shut up a lot of the naysayers. I mean, the movie made a ton of money, which, if people didn't like him that much, they wouldn't have gone to see it as much as they did, and it wouldn't have spawned a sequel. And especially I found that as Michael Keaton's got a little older, he's leaned more into the drama and moved away more from the comedy, as a lot of comedic actors tend to do as they get a little more, a little more experience under their belt. They get opportunities. Like I'm thinking like people like Robin Williams and Jim Carrey, like they start as these breakout comedians doing these funny movies with these over the top comedic roles. And then when given opportunities to do drama, many of them can do it as well or better than some of their peers. And I think Michael Keaton fell right into that category. I think he is at a point in his career, the last 10 to 15 years, where he's been very selective. He hasn't worked as much, but when he's picked a role, he's picked good roles, and he's really shown his acting chops. So, no, I like him a lot.
I don't know if you know this, but when Damon Lindelof and J.J. Abrams did Lost, they actually wanted Michael Keaton to play the part of Jack, and they killed him off in the pilot. And he was actually the body that was up in the trees that was all bloody. And then they recut the whole thing because they didn't want to kill off the main character, and they made that be the pilot. But Michael Keaton was supposed to be in Lost, but I liked him in Batman too. I thought he was really good. So some of the other cast members, the Doctor, I don't know if you've recognized him. Remember the one that keeps treating Ma Kelly, and he's like, "It's her pancreas, Johnny," and he's like, "Well,
okay.
what about it? We can't find it." I don't know if you recognize that was Carl Gottlieb. Do you know who that is?
No.
He's best known as one of the writers of Jaws. Spielberg also cast him in Jaws just so we'd have him around to do rewrites on the script. Anyway, he was Maureen Stapleton. I want to talk about his Ma Kelly. I think even if you hated this movie as much as you did, Derek, you've got to admit, like, I can't. She was funny in this movie. Like, I mean, come on. She wasn't.
First of all, I hadn't seen her before, so I didn't know who she was. Her. And again, I didn't find anything about this movie funny. I thought that it was stupid. I couldn't wait for it to end. Maybe I just didn't get it. But
maybe you didn't get it. I thought she was great. And you never heard of her. She's an accomplished. She won a Golden Globe. She's won a Primetime Emmy. She won 2 Tony Awards. She's been nominated for 5 Oscars. She won Best Supporting Actress for 1981's Reds with Warren Beatty.
Sure. I was 6 years old. I've never seen Reds. I mean,
you're an Oscar guy. I mean, you're a pop culture guy. Like when he gives at the beginning, he gives her an ashtray for her birthday. She's like, "Oh, I was thinking of taking up smoking. This clinches it." Just lines like that just made me chuckle. And then they're in the movie theater. "I'll take a popcorn and some Milk Duds and a whitefish." I don't know. I thought it was funny.
It's just stupid.
And when they're at remember when she's trying to get the information from that cleaning lady, and she's like, "We got a lot in common. We both scrub floors. We're both swell lookers, and neither one of us is Chinese." And the cleaning lady's like, well, I got to say this. You've done your homework. How can you not? I was laughing my ass off at this movie. And when they're at the wedding and she says to Marilu Henner, she's like, you've been like a daughter to me. I want to share something with you. I go both ways. Like, oh, jeez. It's just so ridiculous. Oh, man. I can't believe you didn't think it was funny. I was laughing my ass off at this. I think you don't know her from Cocoon? You know, she was Wilford Brimley's wife in Cocoon.
Sure. If you say so. I don't.
By the way, Wilford Brimley was my age when he starred as a senior citizen in Cocoon.
I think he was younger than you.
Man, I'm old. I hope I make it to the end.
He certainly had a better mustache than you.
Yeah, I hope I can make it to the end of this show without dying of old age, I tell you. Okay, what about Peter Boyle? You know,
what about him?
Well, he was great in this. Like, I mean, most Gen Xers know him as the dad from Everybody Loves Raymond, you know, Frank Brown. But I always think of him as from Taxi Driver, and especially as the monster in Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, Young Frankenstein. That's right.
God. But did you like him in this as Jocko Dundee? No. Obviously not, you know?
I didn't, honestly, Chris, I didn't like anybody in this movie. I didn't like this movie. And I'm not just like, oh, this was dumb and I put my foot down. It's like, I really genuinely didn't find anybody. I didn't like any of the performances. A lot of these people I thought were either miscast or I was just like, I don't know who this person is, so I really don't care about who this character is. And it was almost like it either was trying too hard or not trying hard enough. I'm not sure which. It didn't work for me on any level at all.
Oh, man, you're so wrong. Danny DeVito, another TV actor. He was pretty much known at the time when he did this as, you know, he was Louis De Palma from Taxi, also with Marilu Henner. I really loved him as Martini in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's such a unique actor, you know? And that scene when he's in the restaurant with Johnny Dangerously, and he's got this whole like homoerotic vibe going on. Remember, he's like, we should spend some time together.
It seemed out of place all of a sudden. Like,
what the hell did that come from? He's like, oh, we should spend time together, like 2 weeks in Puerto Rico. It's like, what? And then the bowl crashes. And Joe Piscopo, if you remember, when the original cast left Saturday Night Live, the show really sucked. I mean, people like, you know, there was Denny Dillon and Charles Rocket and Gail Mathias. Not a very good cast, but they had two breakouts from that cast. One was Eddie Murphy, and the other one was Joe Piscopo. He was a major breakout from Saturday Night Live, but he never really found any success outside of that show. I remember for a time there, unless I'm losing my mind, I feel like he left acting and went into bodybuilding for a while. I'm sure
I've never really been a big fan of him, so I have to take your word for it.
He was all like jacked up and everything. I'm sure of it. And he was in Dead Heat and Wise Guys. They were these two dumb movies from the 80s. But I mean, he has not really worked consistently as an actor. What about Griffin Dunn? I liked him. He was in that movie, An American Werewolf in London.
I had to look him up because I recognized him.
You didn't recognize him from that? You like that movie, right?
I just watched it. That's why he looked so familiar. And then I had to look him up. I'm like, oh, that's where I recognize him from. But I mean, yeah, amazing. I recognized him, but I didn't care for his performance, and I didn't really, like, again, I didn't think he really was great in this movie.
Oh, God.
I didn't think anybody was good in this movie.
I thought he was great.
Was terrible.
Have you ever seen Scorsese's After Hours?
No, I have not.
Oh, God, he's so good in that. And he was the teacher in My Girl. Remember Veda had a crush on Mr. Bixler? And I also remember him from...
you were just talking about.
What?
Sorry, what did you say? From where?
My Girl. Remember the movie My Girl?
No.
You've never seen it?
I don't even know what it is. When did it come out? Is it recent?
My Girl came out in like 1991. It was with what's his face? Macaulay Culkin. Remember he dies from the bee stings? You have no soul. You have no soul.
I don't think I ever saw it. And thanks for the spoiler.
Oh man, sorry, the movie's 40 years old. I apologize, Rick. So anyway, I thought he was really good in this. I like there's one scene I always remember in this movie with him was when he gets his brakes cut in the car and he's rolling down the hill and he just keeps saying, "Oh my God. Oh my God." I don't know why. I just like that part, the way he says it. I don't know why. Okay, so Marilu Henner. Like, okay, if you didn't like the movie, you didn't like her. My God, she was a beautiful woman. She was gorgeous and she was charismatic. She's talented, but she never really worked all that much, you know? I mean, she did the, speaking of Batman, we were talking, she did the voice of Veronica Vreeland in the Batman animated series. So you might recognize her from that one. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I know who she is, and obviously I know her from Taxi. And I don't know if she did her own singing in that, but if she did, she's got a fantastic singing voice, and she certainly looked attractive. But I didn't really feel she brought anything to this role that any other performer could have brought. Again, I just felt everyone's performances were so flat. And I don't know if that was like they were trying to parody sort of what old gangster movies were like, where it was, you know, people would just come on, be real stiff, say their lines. It didn't work for me.
I remember seeing her on 60 Minutes like years ago, and it was a segment on people that had photographic memories.
Yeah.
And she has this like total recall memory where like she can remember, you know, those people that can remember exact details of specific days. Like
eidetic memory. Yeah.
Is that what? Yeah. You would say like June 14th, 2008. And she'd be like, oh, it was raining in the morning. And then the sun came out at 1:15 and such happened in the news. And, you know, like it's not like she's BSing either. Like, I mean, it's actually verifiable. I don't know. But
yeah, there's a TV show that was on a few years ago called Unforgettable with Poppy Montgomery, who was from Without a Trace TV show from years before. She played a detective who had that eidetic memory. She could recall everything, and it was loosely based on Marilu Henner and someone who has that memory condition. And then Marilu Henner actually made appearances on the show as her aunt or something. So yeah, it's an interesting plot device. I mean, it's a real thing, obviously, and Marilu Henner really has it. But it was interesting to see that someone had taken that idea and read this interview or this article and had worked it into a police procedural, and it was pretty good.
Well, anyway, like I say, Marilu Henner, I don't know why she didn't make it bigger in Hollywood. I think she was a good actress and charismatic, like I said. So there were some cameos in this movie too that I made notes of as I was watching that I'd forgotten about, like Bob Eubanks from the Newlywed Show. He was the reporter outside the courthouse. And Ray Walston was that newspaper vendor who keeps getting hit on the head.
Yeah.
Remember him? He goes blind and he goes deaf and all that. Did you recognize the police bailiff?
Yeah, it was the skipper from Gilligan's Island.
Yes, it was. I like that. Yeah. I remember when the scene where he's like calling all cars. Johnny Dangerously is dressed as a nun. And he's like, he's in a getaway car disguised with duckies and bunnies. Meet me at the pub. I'm buying. I remember when I saw this movie in the theater, that line got a huge laugh in the audience. I remember some of the weirdest things sometimes, I tell you. And then the newspaper headline, I like that too. It's like, who is Johnny Dangerously? It's like a sketch artist picture of like Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone, yeah.
Okay, so you might have hated this movie, but what about Maroney? I mean, come on. Played by
Maroney
Richard
again?
Dimitri. I mean, I don't think he ever did anything else. He was
so dumb. It was like, and he kept getting the words wrong. And he looked like he had like a rubber face on or something. I don't know. I couldn't get over it. I'm like, this guy is just over the top. Although I did recognize the scene when they were in the court and he's like, this is a Fargan trick question. You've used that line on this show before. And I'm like, oh, is that what this is from?
Because it is the most famous line from this movie. You know, like that scene. Oh my God, when he's in the courthouse. And Tommy accuses him. He's like, you were part of the Lincoln's birthday slaughter and the Groundhog Day beheadings. And he's like, well, if a train leaves Baltimore traveling at 50 miles an hour, that's a Fargan trick question. And the newspaper headline comes up and says, Maroney, deported to Sweden, claims he's not from there. Because it's like, was he Italian? Was he like East Indian? I don't know, whatever it was. But the way that he butchers the English language is like a really memorable part of this movie. I think it's what most people quote from this movie. Like, you Fargan ice-old bastages. I'm going to cut your boils off. I don't know how you didn't think this was funny, man. Even when he sends the robot with the machine gun, remember? And then there's a note, and Michael Keaton reads the note, and it's like, dear bastages. Like, he even writes like that. And then I love this scene when he's outside his nightclub, and he's with his henchmen or whatever it was, and he's talking about the renovations. He's like, tear down that wall, tear down that wall, and tear down that Fargan wall. And then this bomb goes off. This is Fargan War. I don't know. I laughed the whole time I watched this.
I can't believe you're laughing as much remembering this movie. Like, I think we watched different movies because I didn't laugh at it at all. It was painful. I was literally funny. riding my exercise bike, watching this movie, and I thought, if this exercise bike could move, I would ride it right out of the way of this television, because this is awful. But
so wrong. It's
the first time since we've done this podcast where I almost turned off the movie. It was that bad. I'm like, no, I'm going to get through it because maybe something good happens. Maybe there's some scene that's like, oh, I have to absolutely see it. And I was just like, no.
I would like to have anyone that likes this movie email me at chris@popgoesyourworld.com and tell me what your favorite Maroney quote is. Because, I mean, like, those of us that like this movie, we love this movie. And it's just like some of these quotes are so good. Now, there are things that date this film. Because, watching it, I was like, a couple of little things. Some of the attitudes toward homosexuality, I think. At one point, Ma Kelly uses the F word in a derogatory way. And that really kind of jumps out. There's a scene when she's going through her purse and she hands the wife her vibrator. And then when the brothers are fighting on the stairs of the courthouse, and Tommy starts he's overly affectionate toward Johnny, and he climbs on top of him, and the pedestrians, they kind of make this, they look at him like it's about homosexuality and stuff. So that, I don't know, some of the attitudes in the film, and we talk about that all the time. A lot of these 80s movies, they kind of have that, right?
Yeah. Which again is to not to excuse it, but at the time it was ripe fodder for humor. And looking back with what we know now and our attitudes changing and be more progressive of what they are, you wouldn't find that kind of thing in a movie. Hopefully you wouldn't find that kind of thing in a movie today. But again, and to me, I like to think that I'm sophisticated enough that I'm not going to laugh at those kinds of things, because honestly, I don't find them funny. But then again, I didn't find much funny about this movie anyway.
No, you did not. Another thing that really dated it, that jumped out to me, the scene when Danny DeVito, we talked before, when he's kind of talking to Johnny in the restaurant, and then he gets attacked by that stampeding bull that crashes through the wall. And then the newspaper headline reads, DA dies in commercial. So this is a reference. There were these old Schlitz TV ads for Schlitz beer that always had a bull crashing through the wall. And I just thought, anybody watching that will have no idea what the hell that's all about.
Oh, see, immediately preceding that, he had asked him, what are we drinking? And then he handed him the bottle and he said, oh, it's a whatever kind of beverage. I just assumed that was the reference to that beer. I didn't realize it was a deeper cut for some timely ad that we've long since forgotten. But.
Yeah. And another thing I made a note of was, like a lot of the Gen X movies that we go back and watch, this one's got a lot of smoking in it. And the scene where all the gangsters are smoking, and then Johnny basically does this PSA about how it's better to chew gum, and then one of the guys just keels over and dies from smoking, and then right after that they find out Johnny and Tommy are brothers, and it's like shocked look, and then a dead guy with a cigarette in his mouth. I don't know. Again, I just chuckled. I thought it was funny. And then another thing that really jumped out was when Piscopo drives up and he parks in the handicap spot, and his partner's like, hey man, we can't park here. And Piscopo's like, yes we can, I'm psychotic. And he puts up a sign implying like a crazy person.
Right.
Not PC at all.
No.
Just ask my wife, the social worker, who was cringing during that scene. And then, like a lot of 80s films we watch, the kind of the typical views towards sex and gender. There's a scene when Piscopo says to the old lady that's mopping the hall, he's like, how'd you like to make some money? And she's like, well, do I have to do you both together or one at a time? It's like, oh my God. And then I thought, again, it made me laugh. The scene when Tommy goes to see Johnny Dangerously because he wants to quit law school and he wants to get married because he's horny, right?
Right.
And then the girl with the exposed cleavage is behind Johnny, and Griffin Dunn's like, I don't know, I want to stay in law school, but I just don't have the for it. I mean heart. And I was like, oh my God, like that. I thought that was pretty bad, And then the other one that jumped out was when they finally get married, and he cannot wait to consummate the marriage. So he takes his wife into the broom closet, and then he gets interrupted, and he's got to leave her. And then the janitor comes walking along and goes into the closet. He's like, hallelujah. I was like, oh, jeez. Again, there were some scenes in this not good. Just did not hold up. So the movie is dated, no question. It's a mindless comedy. But I think that's the point of going back and watching these old movies. You know, we get to reminisce, we get to experience the nostalgia for some of us, and we also get to see how much things have changed over the years. But I think at the end of the day, this is a Gen X movie that a lot of people remember. So for me, I think it was worth going back and watching once again. I laughed many times, as you know.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know. Maybe you were, I don't know. I don't even want to speculate why you were finding this so funny, but it was not funny.
Maroney alone, and with some of the stuff he says with the Fargan trick question. Oh, God. I don't know. I found some of it pretty funny, but that's all good. No, you didn't like it. You don't have to like all the movies that we watch. I certainly don't like all the movies that you make me watch. A lot of them suck, too, so it's all good. But anyway, on that note, let's have some
fun with Caveman.
All right, my man, it's over to you as my pick for the movie. So you're going to handle trivia. So what do you got for me?
Okay, so as we've mentioned on a few occasions here tonight, Michael Keaton is the star of this film. We did we talked about him a little bit at the beginning. I'm gonna keep the trivia pretty much on the nose here. I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions about Michael Keaton, and then just some sort of general trivia type questions, and then I've got a bunch of questions more about his body of work. And depending on how you're doing and how much time we've got, we'll see how deep into that we go. So. Some of these, I felt like Yancey when you were doing your introductory blurb about the movie, because I had some of these questions down, and then you mentioned some of the answers in your little blurb at the beginning. And I thought, okay, well, he's ruining the trivia again. So I'm glad to see some things don't change, whether you're in the first episode or the 190th episode. So good on you. But anyway, we'll dive right in. Some of this stuff you may know, some you may not. But I like Michael Keaton a lot, so I wanted to sort of look into his past and his work and come up with some questions for you. Okay. All right. So his real name is not Michael Keaton. That's a stage name. What is Michael Keaton's real name?
I actually know this. It was taken by another actor, and it was Michael Douglas.
That's correct. Yes. His real name is Michael John Douglas. And although Michael Keaton is a stage name, he has never legally changed it to Michael Keaton. So his legal name is still Michael Douglas. And there's a number of different stories about how and why it was changed. The biggest, obviously, it revolved around the fact that when Michael Keaton was breaking into showbiz, Michael Douglas was already an established brand name, so he knew he needed to change his name. There's rumors that, maybe he was inspired by Buster Keaton, or maybe it was inspiration from Diane Keaton. And the thing I kept seeing when I was doing, again, it didn't seem to be a definitive answer, but the one that seemed to come up the most was just he knew he needed to change his name. He was looking through a list of performers at the Guild, the Actors Guild, and when he got to the letter K and he was reading through the names and he saw Diane Keaton's name, he thought, Keaton seems like a pretty neutral name that won't offend anybody, and went with that. So regardless, or whatever the reason really was, Michael Keaton's the name we got, and that's the name we know him by to this day. So, okay, question for you.
Yeah.
How old is Michael Keaton?
Oh, that's a good question. Michael Keaton I just got to think about, like, when he came out, 84. So I would say he's probably 65.
He is a little bit older than that. He is 69. He was born in 1951. Okay. His birthday is in September. He will be 70 this September. So he's 69 right now when we record this show. Yeah, I didn't think he was quite that old, but there he is. Okay. You mentioned something along these lines, but we'll go down this road here. So what was Michael Keaton's first on-screen appearance?
Oh, it would have to have been on television, I would think.
It was?
It was the Mary. So I mentioned I remember he was on the Mary Tyler Moore. Mary Tyler Moore, when her show went off the air, she started a variety show, and I think that's where he got started.
That was not his first on-screen appearance. It was before that.
I don't know. What was it? Was he in like? Oh man, was he in like Maude or something like that? He was in like All in the Family or something like. I remember too, but I can't remember.
His first on-screen appearance was in episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh,
he was working behind the scenes, and they gave him some opportunities to be on screen, and apparently that's when he realized he would rather be in front of the camera instead of behind the camera, and that was his first on-screen appearances.
Very
were
cool.
In episodes of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh, that's really neat. Oh, cool.
Okay. Michael Keaton has worked with a ton of people and has made a lot of movies and done a lot of TV and a lot of specials. What movie directors has he worked with the most? And I'll give you a hint. There's two of them, two directors he has worked with on 3 movies for each of these 2 directors. Can you name the directors, and can you name the 3 movies for each of them?
I can name one director was Ron Howard, because he did Gung Ho and he did Night Shift, and then didn't he do The Paper with him too?
Yes. So that's so Ron Howard is the first one, and those are the 3.
And then who was the other director? Oh, geez, I don't know. I feel like this is later on in his career. So would it be maybe Tim Burton with Batman movies?
Yes. Can you name the 3 movies?
Batman and Batman Returns and Batman 3?
No. What did he do before Batman?
Beetlejuice. Oh, that's right.
There you
Beetlejuice,
go.
Batman and Batman Returns.
Yes, there you go. Good one.
Thanks. I need a little bit of help on that one.
Nice. Okay.
I forgot that Tim Burton did Beetlejuice.
There you go. Has Michael Keaton ever been nominated for an Oscar?
Yes. Well, he was nominated for for Birdman.
Yes, that's right. He's been nominated one time, best performance by an actor in a lead role, and it was for, we'll call the movie Birdman. Its full title is Birdman or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. But
the only reason I remember that is he didn't win the Oscar, but I remember when the film won Best Picture, they called him up on stage, because the thing was, it's like, you watch the Oscars like I do, and they always need a narrative. You know what I mean? They need a narrative. They're always looking for that. And it was like, Michael Keaton's been around forever, so let's bring him up on stage and, make him the narrative of the night. So,
for sure.
Yep.
Okay. How many times has Michael Keaton starred in a movie that has gone on to be nominated for the Best Picture Academy Award?
Oh, wow. Well, again, Birdman is 1. Jeez, not too many others, I don't think. And they'd have to be later in his career. So I will say 1.
You would be wrong.
Ooh.
The answer is 4. And the question is, how many of those 4 actually won the Best Picture Oscar? But if you don't know the 4, that's a hard question.
Was The Paper nominated?
No, it was not.
Oh, it was not. Jackie Brown?
Nope.
I don't know.
The earliest one was from 2010.
Oh, then that's where you got me. That's why.
Okay, so the 4 movies that he's been in that have all been nominated for Best Picture: Toy Story 3, he was the voice of the Ken doll, so that was very appropriate given your joke.
Given my dad joke tonight, there you go.
He was in Birdman in 2014, which won Best Picture.
Yes, he did.
He was in Spotlight in 2015, which won Best Picture. And this year, he was in The Trial of the Chicago 7, which was nominated but did not win. So of the 4 movies he's been in, 2 of them have won.
Yeah. A lot of newer stuff. That's why I didn't know it.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's not to say that, hey, Michael Keaton was the definitive, this is why it was nominated. I mean, for Birdman, you could argue yes, because he was the lead. The other movies, especially Trial of Chicago 7, he's only in the movie like for 15 minutes, and it's an important role, but it's not really the pivotal role of the movie. So anyway, but again, like any other movie that gets nominated for Best Picture, it's a team effort. So he's part of the team 4 times. It's pretty impressive. Okay. How are we doing for time? We got some time. We're going to go through some of these. So Michael Keaton has worked with a lot of leading ladies over his life.
Yes.
He's been in a lot of movies. So I put together a little list here of about 15 movies Michael Keaton has done in his career. I've got the name of the leading lady that was in the movie.
Okay.
Her real name. I've also got a little synopsis of the movie.
Okay.
And I got the year the movie came out. So what I'm going to do is we'll give this to you in phases.
Okay.
I'll start by giving you the name of the leading lady.
Okay.
And if you can't get it from that, I'll start giving you some of the other clues.
Okay. That sounds fair.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay. I'm just going to, and I've got them listed in chronological order, but I don't want to give them in chronological. So I'm going to jump all over the place here. And I'm going to take out a few that we've already sort of covered off. Okay. Mimi Rogers.
Oh, Gung Ho.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that movie. It was good.
All right. Let's go to something in here. Andy McDowell.
Andy McDowell. Oh, it was no.
This is one of my favorite Michael Keaton performances. Highly underrated.
I feel like it was like a Duplicity or something like that.
Close. Very, very close.
I don't know.
It was called Multiplicity.
Oh yes, I
came out in 1996.
Yeah, I remember when that movie came out, and I had no desire to see it, but I remember thinking about that movie. Yeah, okay.
You want a funny Michael Keaton one? That was really good. My wife and I, we quote this movie all the time. It is very quotable. It had a lot of really good.
You know what else is really quotable? Johnny Dangerously.
Oh my God! No. Okay. Rachel McAdams.
I don't know. That's too new.
It is very new. The synopsis is from 2015.
Wow.
The true story of how the Boston Globe uncovered the massive scandal of child molestation and covered up within the local Catholic archdiocese, shaking the entire Catholic Church to its core.
Okay.
It won Best Picture in 2015. We just talked about it.
Spotlight, right?
Spotlight, good one. All right, you got it.
I need a lot of help on that one.
Okay. Here, this is one we did on our podcast. This is a nice slow ball for you.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Lopez.
What movie was he in with Jennifer Lopez?
Played her boyfriend.
Oh, that was that movie you made me watch where in the elevator and he saw her. Oh, what the hell was it? Oh God, I think was it with George Clooney? Was
with George Clooney? Yes.
Oh crap! Out of Time?
Out of Sight. Very close. We'll give you half points for that. We'll give you half points for that.
I didn't like that one, so I kind of blocked that one out of my memory already. Sorry.
All right. Michelle Pfeiffer.
When did he star with Michelle Pfeiffer? I don't know.
It was from 1992. We were just talking about it a minute ago. It was with one of his favorite directors.
Was it one of the Batman movies?
It was.
I don't know. I saw the original Batman, but I didn't see the other one, so I couldn't.
All right. It was Batman Returns.
Batman Returns. That's the only other one he did, right? Yep. Then after that, it was like Val Kilmer, and then it was like George Clooney nipples and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay.
And then it was Ben Affleck.
Okay.
And now it's the guy from the vampire movie. All right. Terry Garr.
Oh, that was Mr. Mom.
There you go.
See, that's more in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Lorraine Bracco?
Wasn't she the one that was in The Sopranos or something?
Yep.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It was a movie from 1989 called The Dream Team.
Oh, I remember that movie, kind of. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Okay, let's jump up here. How about? Oh, this was a good one. You probably never seen Laura Dern.
No idea.
The movie, I'll give you a synopsis. Story of Ray Kroc, a salesman who turned two brothers' innovative fast food eatery into the biggest restaurant business in the world.
Oh, that's a new one. That was like the McDonald's thing. Was it the founder?
Yes,
I can picture him with the M. I can picture it, but I never saw it. But I didn't know Laura Dern was in it. But okay,
yeah, it was really good. She plays.
Synopsis gave it away.
Yeah, some of the synopses are pretty obvious. I've tried to tweak them a bit to take out some of the key things. Like, okay, Nicole Kidman.
I don't know.
It's from 1993. The synopsis is a terminally ill man prepares for his death.
She was making movies back then, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the
synopsis? Is a terminally ill man prepares for his death.
No idea.
It's called My Life.
I've never even heard of it.
You want to cry? Watch this movie.
Yeah, and if you want to laugh, watch Johnny Dangerously.
No, don't listen to Chris. He doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, Shelley Long.
Oh, that was Night Shift.
That was Night Shift.
Even though she hooked up with Henry Winkler in that movie, but yes,
of course. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me see. I'll give you one last one here. Mm-hmm. Melanie Griffith.
Melanie Griffith and him. I've no idea.
From 1990, just on the edge of your wheelhouse?
No, don't know.
The synopsis is a couple works hard to renovate their dream house and become landlords to pay for it. Unfortunately, one of their tenants, Michael Keaton, has plans of his own.
Oh, he moved. Oh, I saw that movie once. He was like this crazy tenant that moved in downstairs.
Yeah.
The rig was. That's a bargain trick question. I don't know.
It was called Pacific Heights.
Oh, yes, that's right. It was, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Nice.
Yeah.
You did pretty good on these.
Yeah.
I had a few more, but I think most of them we talked about, or they're so obscure you're never going to get them. So, all right. No, that was good. We got a fair amount of Michael Keaton trivia there. So.
All right, good. Okay,
I got to ask you, though, hang on. Before we move on, I just want to go quickly back to it. Is it my imagination, or was Michael Keaton wearing an obscene amount of eye makeup through the entirety of Johnny Dangerously?
He was, and I noticed that as well. It's funny you should say that. I noticed that too. I thought he's wearing a lot of like eyeshadow or something. I noticed that too. Yeah, I thought.
Didn't really understand what that was all about, but maybe again it was supposed to be funny, and I just didn't find it hilarious. I don't know. Okay, so as we have been trying to do for the last few months here. you recommend a movie, and then my pick, we try and find some sort of through line to connect yours to mine in some way, whether it's through a common actor, a common director, a common writer, a common theme, whatever it might be.
So you're going to find a movie that's really funny and quotable. I'm dying to know what it is.
So I had sort of two ways to go. Originally, I was going to do comedy, and I actually want to save the comedy for a little down the road. It didn't really seem to fit perfectly with this one. So I opted to lean on the plot of the movie because, again, I'm not really a big fan of the whole gangster genre, but we just did The Departed, which might have been a good pick. But so I was like, okay, well, this movie, Johnny Dangerously, is ultimately about Johnny Dangerously and his brother, the good guy, the bad guy, and the potential conflict between the two brothers. So I thought, okay, well, that gives me a little bit to work with. So I'm going to go with the movie. And because Johnny Dangerously is so obscure and most people probably have never seen it, and people who are interested may have had a hard time finding it, I wanted something that everyone has either seen or will have no problem seeing. So I went with something really big. It's a movie about two brothers, forces of good and evil, directed by Oscar winner Kenneth Branagh, featuring Anthony Hopkins, featuring Natalie Portman, starring Chris Hemsworth and Tim Hiddleston. We're going with Thor, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thor from 2011. Thor. I know you haven't seen many of the Marvel Cinematic
I have never seen Thor.
This was one of the first ones. I know you watched Iron Man because we did that on a previous one.
I just had a conversation with my son the other day, and we were talking about these Marvel movies and these big things. And I said the only ones I've seen are Guardians of the Galaxy and Iron Man. That's it. Because you made me watch them. So now I'm gonna have to watch Thor. So it should be interesting.
And a little well, not so much spoiler about the movie, but I really want you to watch the newest Thor movie. But if you don't know the characters, so much of what makes the new Thor movie so great is going to be lost. So I thought, well, we got to start somewhere. Yeah. So I'm going to get you to watch Thor from 2011. I know you got Disney. Okay. I know you got the Disney Plus.
Yes,
I believe all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies are available there, so you should have no problem finding it. It's got a huge cast. It's a little under 2 hours long. You want to talk about inappropriate eye makeup? We can have that conversation because for whatever reason they felt that Hemsworth needed eye makeup in this, and I don't know why. And it kind of looks funny in retrospect. But
I don't think I know who he is, but we'll find out.
Yeah, tell your wife that he's a really hunky, beefy guy. He takes his shirt off a few times. She'll appreciate it. And we'll come back next week. We'll talk about it. I mean, It's a comic book movie, so set your dial sort of in that expectation range. Just because it's got this great pedigree and it's got Kenneth Branagh at the wheel, you think, oh well, he's this Oscar-nominated Oscar winner. It's decent, but believe me, Thor wasn't winning any Oscars. But it's a pretty decent example of the Marvel Universe, and they've made 2 sequels, so the characters have. It's okay.
Johnny Dangerously wasn't going to win any Oscars either, so it's all good.
I'll bet you won some Razzies though.
You would be wrong. All right, so we'll come back next week and I'll watch Thor, and we'll come back and we will review that one, and that should be a lot of fun. Until then, this is Chris McBrien for Derek Myers saying thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.